evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. It's Wednesday today, and we're back for another confidence convo. Apologies that we're late. We've had a few technical difficulties, but we're on now. So this is episode 12, where we discuss all things confidence, and we live stream and record bi-weekly on Wednesdays on Facebook, YouTube, and your favorite podcast streaming platform. And this week, we will be diving into how to feel confident in your body. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Davina Maria, and I am a master coach and founder of the Restore Yourself Method and host of Worthy Women Facebook group. And I help female go-getters in their 30s develop unshakable confidence so they can powerfully step into their limitless potential. Over to you, Joanna.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Davina. My name is Joanna Tonkin. I'm a registered psychotherapist and confidence coach and the founder of the Confidence Formula. I work with young adults who want to improve their self-confidence so that they can be successful. Davina and I are obsessed with all things personal development, and we strongly believe in the power of community and learning together.
And just to clarify, we're not perfect at being confident all of the time. Like you, we move through our struggles and overcome obstacles and mindsets to continuously improve. So just think of us as guides by your side.
Yeah.
So today's topic is super interesting. And before we kind of get started, I'd love to just put in a little caveat that, everything that we're talking about today is useful, and we always give you guys tips and tricks and things that you can do to feel more confident. However, we understand that sometimes there's certain things that maybe don't work for certain people. And again, we're all different and we're all unique. So the only thing that I'd like to add before we sort of start talking about our topic is take what you need and leave the rest. So if something is not relevant to you, don't worry about it. Just take what you need and what is relevant to you and what you can implement to start feeling more confident.
Mm-hmm.
So Joanna, I don't know if you want to add anything onto that before we kind of get started.
No, I really love that caveat. And I would also say that goes for everything and anything that we talk about, right? Everything that we say might not resonate with you, and that's okay. So just take what does and leave behind the rest. Thanks for naming that.
Perfect. So we're talking about how to feel confident in our bodies today. And for me, I know that I have a number of things that I do to kind of feel confident and portray confidence. But just to kind of get started, I wanted to kind of check in with you and sort of ask about how you kind of define your body, which I know sounds really weird because some people that I ask kind of say it's your physical structure. Other people will say it's your energy. Other people will say it's sort of a combination of both. And other people will kind of add a spiritual element to it. So I'd love to kind of hear from you how you would define your body.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. I'm going to go with C, all of the above.
Yeah.
While our body is definitely physical and tangible, there's also an energy component to it. So we can think of it like, we're going to talk a little bit about things you can do to improve your confidence, how to embody confidence in your body. For example, one thing that we might say is like, you might want to stand up straight, a strong posture.
Yeah.
That's what you're physically doing with your body, but also like the energy of like calmness or like the energy of composure, added to that physical posture can also be really helpful. So definitely the physical as well as the energetic body and the aura that we give off as well.
I totally agree with you. I kind of think about our bodies in the same way. We're not just a clothes rack. We're kind of a lot more than that. And I know that really helps me when I'm kind of thinking about being confident in my body. It's not just about one aspect. You can kind of use multiple different tools and techniques to make yourself feel confident overall. So you mentioned the word posture, and I don't know if that's a really good place to start. So if let's just imagine I'm presenting at a meeting tomorrow and I don't feel very confident, and I feel like posture is one of the things that I maybe could, do to help me feel better about presenting at this meeting. What kind of posture tips would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, even before going there, I would even say, like, notice how your posture makes you feel, right? And so, like, if we all just, like, for a second, kind of puff our chest, put our shoulder blades more together, stand up
Yeah.
straight, right? Just notice how that energy in your body makes you feel, right?
Yeah.
What do you
I feel
feel?
good.
Yeah, I feel strong. I feel capable. The puffed up chest is like the armor, the strength mascot almost, right? And then let's do the opposite. Let's like curl our shoulders, hunch them over, make our shoulder blades really, really far apart, maybe sink our head and our neck into that, right? Really like kind of like closing off. And sit with that and just notice how that feels.
Not loving it.
Right? More reserved, more afraid. Right?
And more kind of inside, like, very internal. Yeah, for sure.
Kind of like a turtle in its shell, right?
Yeah,
And
that's a really good way of putting it.
Just changing the way that your body is can change a lot about how you feel in a setting. So if you are in a meeting, or if you are doing a presentation and you show up really hunched over and, bent into yourself, that's going to affect how you feel, and that's going to affect how you behave in the presentation. Whereas if you stand so slightly, the slightest difference, strong and tall, and maybe, pushing out your chest a little bit, just notice how that makes you feel, right? So I think that's an interesting kind of experiment we can all do.
100%. And I love how you've linked the two things. So you've linked how I feel with my posture. And I think that's really key, because if I'm going into this meeting and I feel nervous or I feel anxious or I don't feel confident, that feeling is okay. It's okay for me to feel that feeling. And the change in my posture might not take the feeling away completely, but it will make me feel better. It will make me feel less anxious and more confident. And I think that's what we're trying to aim for, isn't it? We're not aiming for perfection. We're just aiming for little things that can get you from this point to this point. And I know we've spoken about kind of, taking steps and things like that in the past. This is definitely a step towards feeling more confident. If you kind of stand up straight and you're like, you know what, yeah, I'm nervous, I don't feel great about this presentation, but I'm going to kind of like do what I can within my control to feel better, and then kind of take it from there.
Yeah. And with that, like, eye contact, right, also is important, right? Someone who's like darting their eyes all around the room or like looking down, right? There's an energy that exudes versus like making eye contact with the people in the room. It doesn't have to be throughout the entire presentation, but just like make sure once in a while you're like glancing at people in the face.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And you can even look like right below their eyes sometimes. I use like cheekbones or forehead instead of going right into people's eyes. If that's uncomfortable, it's really hard for people to tell if you're actually looking in their eyes that way.
Yeah, I like that. I have never heard of that before. I'm taking that away with me this week. But it's interesting that you've spoken about eye contact as well, because I know a lot of people who are very nervous about eye contact, and it's not something that they feel very comfortable with. And when I was younger, I used to actually sing on a stage. And something that my kind of singing teacher would always kind of say to me was, sing to the back of the room. So I know you mentioned like kind of looking down, and I feel like sometimes when you present or you're speaking to people and you look down, you almost like your voice doesn't carry as well. And I think the way that your voice carries can also give you the kind of, you can put out the perception that you're confident, because your voice is carrying, you're kind of looking up, you're looking out into the room, and you're presenting in that way. And or, I've just used a singing example. And I think that's super, super, super helpful. And I love the tip about not looking, if you don't want to look directly in someone's eyes. I love the tip of like using eyebrows even, or, cheekbones, or I love that. That is so useful, 100%. So we've touched on kind of like physical posture. We've touched on where your eyes are going, and we've touched on like your voice and how you project yourself. In terms of those kind of skills, is there anything else that you feel our listeners could take away with them today?
Mm-hmm. I'll say one more, and I think it's because it leads into the next part of what I want to talk about. Kind of managing any nervousness, anxiety, right? We think about nervousness, it's kind of like a shaky feeling. We might feel like a trembling, we might feel a shaking in our body. So one of my favorite ways to actually manage some of that, actually I have two. Right before a presentation, this goes back to the energy of the body, is to ground my energy. So doing like a 5-10 minute YouTube grounding exercise. I usually do that before we present every Wednesday, and definitely before public speaking events. But definitely do something to ground your energy, any of that shakiness, nervousness, acknowledging it, maybe not pushing it away necessarily, but just acknowledging it and see how that helps. Can be really helpful. And then the second one is dancing, movement, shaking, like shake the nervousness out, or like get it like moving through your body. I could find really helpful. So those are some things that I do from feeling any of that movement in my body, just kind of like leaning into it instead of shying away from it. What do you think?
I absolutely love all of that. I love dancing, as you know, and I kind of do a bit of dancing before and after, because I feel like, again, moving your body is amazing for kind of like processing different energy, processing emotions, processing anything that's in the body. I feel like moving definitely helps to kind of shift it. And I think if we don't move, sometimes that energy can get really stuck. So dancing, I love, and that's something that I do myself. Something that I would add that I actually do as well. I do present a lot in my kind of day to day, and I mean, I don't feel overly nervous about it, because I feel like I know what I'm presenting about. I don't normally have to get up and speak about something that I don't know anything about. But I kind of give myself a pep talk before. And sometimes I do it in my head, and sometimes I actually do it out loud. So let's imagine I'm presenting, it's a massive group of people, let's just say 30 people. About 5-10 minutes before I go in, I will literally talk to myself and say things like, you've got this, you're going to be great. If you make a mistake, it's okay. It's okay to laugh, and it's okay to be yourself. Because I also feel like sometimes we go into that sort of environment and we're really stiff, and maybe we cross our arms, or we clasp our hands together, or we put our hands behind our back, and we kind of like have this really stiff body. So I always say to myself, if you make a mistake, it's okay. If you need to laugh at yourself, if you pronounce something wrong, laugh at yourself. It's not that serious. It's absolutely fine. So yeah, I always do a little pep talk as well.
Yeah, I like that. I would add, do it in your head, do it out loud, or do it to yourself in a mirror can also be really powerful for that.
Yeah, I always laugh at myself though when I do it. So if I do anything in the mirror, I always laugh at myself, which again might be amazing, because your energies then is different, Yeah, totally.
You also touched on something really great that we can add to the list: preparation, planning, practicing. If you really know what you're talking about, it's going to be easier to present it. It's going to be easier to be confident while discussing it, right? So definitely practice it out loud, not just like reading a piece of paper to know it, but like say the words out loud, like hear how your voice articulates the phrases, and change up things that don't fit and work well for you.
100%. I think reading anything out loud is amazing. And sometimes when I prep, I actually read it as if I'm reading it to a 4-year-old. Because I think sometimes when we know what we know, we talk about it from a high level place. And not everyone is as knowledgeable as us, and not everyone is as comfortable as we are with those, technical terms. So sometimes I kind of read it out loud and then think, that word, people might not know what that word means, so I need to break it down. And I think that also really helps, because if your audience is more engaged, you're naturally going to feel more confident in what you're delivering, because they're engaged, they, maybe they're asking questions that you can answer and everyone is with you in the room. There's nothing worse than sort of doing a presentation when you're nervous and you don't feel confident, and then everyone in the room is just like, half asleep, or they're playing on their phones or whatever, and you're just like, oh my God, like I don't even feel confident, and now look what you're doing. So I feel like kind of breaking it down as well, really making sure that you don't take it too high level. Because I think there's a difference between preparing and practicing and knowing your stuff and feeling so confident in it, and then losing your audience because maybe you're a bit too technical with your terminology.
Yeah, that's definitely my takeaway. I find that sometimes I speak high level to people. So yeah, speaking to a 4-year-old, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know many 4-year-olds, but I imagine I imagine that they would, like things quite simple. So I absolutely love all of these, and I'm so excited because I feel like these are really easy to implement. I feel like, a lot of these tips, anyone can start doing them today. They are absolutely amazing. And I know we just spoke about practicing, and we've also touched on being yourself. Now, one of the things that sometimes helps people, and I know people that this actually does help, is kind of emulating someone else or copying someone else, or if there's someone that whether that's a celebrity or a friend or a family member or someone you work with, or just generally someone that that appears really confident, and you feel like, I love how they deliver what they're doing. I love the tone in which they speak. I love how calm they look, and they always know exactly what to say and how to answer questions, and they're just amazing. I want to be like them. I know that this helps some people. And I know that we had a very healthy debate about it in the week when we were preparing for this show. But what do you think about copying? I don't really like the word copying, but what do you think about emulating someone else and trying to embody their confidence until you feel confident?
Yeah. I think it comes back down to like, you don't know what you don't know. So like, how would you know even what confidence looks like without looking at someone who exudes confidence, right? And so by looking at someone like, I don't know, the president or the prime minister, right, who's like, you see how they walk, you see how they talk, you see how they move through the world. Like, that's information for us to say, that's what confidence looks like. Let me try on some of those skills. Right.
Yeah.
So I would say that, yeah, really, like, you don't know what you don't know. So if you see someone who looks confident to you, like, mimicking or learning some of those behaviors can be really helpful, to help you on your journey.
But okay, so let's roll with that. We're mimicking someone. Do you feel like, because I kind of feel a little bit like it's not something I've ever done. Although there are people that I know that are very confident, and I always admire them and how they are. I don't feel like I've ever tried to mimic someone or emulate, purely because I feel like sometimes if I did it, I wouldn't be authentic, and I wouldn't be genuine, and I wouldn't be me. I would be pretending to be someone else. So yeah, I don't know how, on this particular point, I don't know how, again, we did say at the beginning, take what you need, leave the rest. But I don't know how helpful you think mimicking someone is compared to adjusting your posture, maintaining your energy, and doing all the other things we've spoken about, dancing, projecting your voice, knowing what you are presenting and practicing. Where do you feel like mimicking comes into it in terms of importance?
Yeah. Again, I think it's actually really important. I think there's an interesting word that you use there. It's, what's the line between being myself and pretending to be someone else? And when you
Yeah.
said that, what I thought was, who we are right now is fine, is good enough, it's great. We're content with who we are now. But you don't want to be this version of yourself forever, right? You want to grow, you want to evolve. And so
Yeah.
you have this idea of who you want to be, right? Which is someone else. And so my question is, are you pretending to be who you want to be by mimicking someone
Oh,
else? And so that's kind of what comes up. It's like I'm not pretending to be not me. I'm just embodying who I want to be so that I can stretch and become that person one day.
So, what I'm hearing you say is that perhaps one person might feel like they have a bit of a gap in eye contact, for example. And let's say they know someone who does it really, really well, doesn't make them feel awkward at all, doesn't make them feel like they're staring, they do the eye contact so good. So, am I correct in saying that perhaps what we're saying is identify first where you would like to grow?
Mm-hmm.
And
Future,
then if you,
identify
yes,
future you.
yeah. And then once you know, okay, I really want to work on my eye contact specifically, if you then find someone who does it really well and mimic them, you're contributing to your growth. You're not necessarily doing it the way someone else does and not being authentic.
Exactly.
I love
Exactly.
that.
You're doing it now the way that future you wants to do it. And so you're
Mm.
embodying that.
I absolutely love it. And I love the word embody, and I love like implementing things. So yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it. If anyone is, concerned like I am about copying someone else or mimicking, I think it's really key to get clear first on perhaps your intention and
Mm-hmm.
what you need and where you'd like to grow. And then you're kind of developing yourself rather than pretending to be someone that you're not.
Bingo.
I love that. Um, as always, I say every week, we could probably talk about this for so much longer. There's so many things we could touch on that we haven't even been through today. As always, the 20 minutes goes so quickly because the topics are amazing, and it's always so great to be on these episodes with you, Joanna. It's amazing. So we're back in 2 weeks' time. For more information on who we are, what we do, and our love of all things confidence and self development, you can find or follow us from our social media information, which will be posted below in the comments. And if you like what you've heard, feel free to like, share, or subscribe. And yeah, if you feel that anyone needs this message, share it. You might think that it's not for you, but you might know someone who it is for. So definitely feel free to share.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Yep, see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.